hold on to that thought for a minute. So the Hollywood Reporter actually calls in the rebirth of DC Genesis, maybe call it Identity Crisis or Flashpoint. These titles of past DC Comics event series adapt to describe the state of Warner Brothers DC movies, which are on the cusp of a new era, but not before a potentially messy transition period. A cleaning of the slate is common when a new executive team, like we talked about, is put in place to run a studio or division, but there is likely little precedent for the amount of Clorox James Gunn and Peter Safran could spray as they prepare to launch the DC studios and guide superhero movies for the next half decade and beyond. So let me go on ahead and go through. The duo in recent days flew back to Los Angeles from the snowy city of Aspen, Colorado, where they were huddled in a deep planning and now, like holy figures coming down from the mountaintops, have sets of commandments or a DC Bible in hand, or at least a working blueprint. Gunn and Safran are expected to meet next week with David Zaslav, the Warner Brothers Discovery CEO who is radically reshaping the media company and who hired the duo in October to lead the newly launched film and TV division. The pair will unveil Zaslav's plan that is expected to lay out their vision, although much of their plan, which insiders paint as still work in progress, and one that has yet to be approved. It's being kept deep in a bat cave. Details are several possible paths forward trickling out, and at least one path not being taken as also has been revealed. Multiple sources tell the Hollywood Reporters that Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 is not moving forward and is considered dead incarnation. And sources say that Jenkins recently submitted her treatment co-written with Jeff Johns, and the Gunn and Safran, as well as Warner Brothers co-chairs and co-CEOs Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abbey broke the news to the filmmakers, telling her the project as it stood did not fit in with the new but still unfolding plans. Jenkins directed and co-wrote the previous two movies starring Gal Gadot and released in 2017 and 2020. No decision has been made about the next steps.
Okay, here's what I was going to say. I think that Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot, I think they excelled in having a internal story. But once we get to connecting it all, it's not going to work as much. I'm not hating. I loved Wonder Woman. I really did.
I like the very first one.
Yes. And then I feel like 2 was when they were like, here comes the company and here comes what we want and here comes what we need and all these things. And then remember this and that. And I'm like, I don't think that Patty Jenkins likes this. Like, you could just feel it, where it was like, it didn't feel like it had the same heart in it that the first one did.
I think that she did have the best intentions for the film.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And I think
she loves the character.
Right. She loves the character. I think it was her passion, and I also still felt like her love was there. It was the writing that was the problem with the film, and the directions that she took within that script. That was the problem.
Yep.
And
no, I feel like there was too many. I don't know what the word is for it, but it was almost like she was like, and I don't know because I wasn't there, but it was almost like, fine, like I'll just compromise with whatever this, whatever that, and it was
don't forget,
it was not fully hers like the first one was.
No, because even if you look at the back of the old regime before Zaslav came in, the old regime was like, no, it's either our way or no way. And then even if you hired someone, let's say, for instance, that you hired me to paint a house, Abby, right? And I tell you, I'm going to paint it. You want it blue? No problem. I'll paint it blue. Me and my painters will paint it blue for you. We'll do a fantastic job. Then what do? You go on ahead, you get a paintbrush the next day, and you decide to paint with us because you think that you can do a better job than the person that you hired. So therefore, the painter is like, what the hell are you doing? You hired us for a specific job, and here you are taking control. So what's the point of me doing this? So you know what? I'm just going to go on ahead and do what you want me to do, and you can just tag along with me. So that's
exactly
what it feels
how
like.
It felt. Yep, that's a great way to put it. That's exactly how it felt. That's a perfect analogy for it.
But you see, this is where this is what I told Charlie, and this is also what I told some of my friends. I said, I'm okay with them doing this, canceling the third one, because of the fact that it wasn't successful with the second movie, with 84, and it was poorly received by movie-going audiences, but not only movie-going audiences, but also a split and shift in the critics, and also movie-going audiences alike. It's different if the shift is between the movie critics, because then you can also still say, oh, look, the audience score is still great.
Right.
So therefore, I don't have to listen to the critics. But it's bad when there's a split where it's between the movie critics and the movie going audience.
Yes.
And it's sad for me because you know me, I had that Wonder Woman 1984 poster in my old house.
Yeah.
And I love Gal. I love Gal Gadot to death. She's a beautiful woman. I believe that she played Wonder Woman great. And you know, and then like we were talking about earlier, it's like we know it's sad and we understand why. It's Hollywood. It's all part of the thing here. If it doesn't meet with the structure that Gunn is going for, then you have no choice but to say goodbye to the old way of actually handling the property that it once was. And the very first movie was very popular and it was great. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And another thing too I want to mention is this.
How much I loved the first one. Like I slept on it for a minute, and then I remember I was at my old apartment sitting by myself, and I was just like, do you know what? I'm going to crank out Wonder Woman. And I was like in tears at points, and I was like, oh my God, this is very, very good. Like this is, and I loved it. I really did. So it's like part of me is like, oh yeah, I wish, but then the other part of me is going, I really don't mind them stopping this. And I'd rather have production money go to something new.
Same here.
Waste my time and waste all of our time and waste their time.
Exactly. And that's how I feel though too. I actually do feel that way. And it's like this is also what I said when I'm the first broke too, was this. I was like, okay, I thought that they would at least give them a second chance since the first one was really good and profitable for the company. And it was like, okay, well, you know what, Patty, you know what, Gal, you did a great job with the first one. Yes, you slipped on the second film, but we'll give you a second chance to prove yourselves. But considering the fact it doesn't go with the structure of the 4-year plan that Gunn has and planned and in store for us, then I have to say, especially with the reboot of The Flash, you know, it's hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
Yeah. No, honestly, like I said, I'm more geeked now about because at first it was just, okay, Ezra Miller, stop being a menace because we want to see the Flash. But now I'm like, if it's this good and things are hinging on it this much, it kind of gets me hyped for it. And I'm not the hugest Flash fan.
I like the Flash, but Flash was never my favorite DC character.
Yeah, he's cool. He's there. Yeah. I know people that really, really love the Flash, and they're really excited for this movie, and they've been excited for a Flash movie. So I'm pumped for them. But
me too.
This has like the film part of me excited, where I'm like, what did you guys do here that is so astounding that you are standing, especially in today's climate, standing by this so hard? Because it has to be. Is it Michael Keaton? Because I think part of it might be Michael Keaton. I'm just saying, none of us are going to get mad at Michael Keaton. We're going to be like,
no, Michael
Keaton's here though.
That's what I'm here for. He's the headliner for me for
exactly. This. I'm excited now. Now these are big, huge announcements to be making, and I feel like James Gunn. They're saying they're not being very like informative, but these are huge. Once you get past like reading it, it's like these are huge things to say. Like I said with like the gaming part, I'm like, oh, okay, and then I was like, wait, hold up, gaming, and then I'm like, wait, these are huge things to be saying.
Exactly.
And like you're giving us info on Ezra Miller, you're giving us info on we're working together right now. We're probably going to can this. Like these are big, huge statements, and I feel like this isn't James Gunn's first rodeo. I mean, it is kind of in this role.
I think he learned a lot from with Kevin Feige.
Yes,
I think he learned a lot from him,
and it probably doesn't hurt to be buddies with him and be like, "What do I do, bud?" And
exactly.
I'm trying to, which it's like I remember if you're not old enough, I remember when the jokes he was making on Twitter were popping, and guess what? Whatever, I never thought. What I'm trying to say is, I get why people were upset. I do. But at the same time, he went through a mini like cancellation. So it's like you already got through that. So you know how that kind of goes. You got Kevin Feige to call when you're like, okay, how do I handle this? And you have experience.
Exactly.
I think that's smart.
And I also said this in my video whenever it got first announced that they were going to be the CEO and stuff like that. I said, it's good to have two people in the pocket to where they can basically share the same stress level. it's kind of like when the Russo brothers did the Civil War movies,
There's a reason
Captain
why
America
those are
Civil
so
War.
good.
Right, because they were able to share the stress level and not being laid up on one person. So that's one thing that
It's
James
kind of
Gunn
funny.
has.
It's funny that you say that because I was literally trying to explain that to somebody at work last week who we eventually want to take over. And I was like, listen, bud, I was like, where our team leader is great at building it. Fantastic. Nobody's better than him. Abby's good with the people. And combined, each other's weaknesses and strengths are a plus. It's not always a negative to say, like, they can do this, but I can't, or they can do this, but I can't. Those complementary things normally help a group succeed at something. So I'm happy to hear that I think 3 would be a crowd. I think 3 would be too much, but 2 I think this is the smartest move they made.
I think so too.